starting and then using the same torch, you know, and having the gas like ignite and then burn up the character.
The reason we added the harikiri was to give the other opponent a chance, you know, just a little bit of a window to kind of turn the tables on the other guy that was performing the fatality.
We thought it would be cool to make the fatality part of the game like a race. So it's basically who can do a fatality first.
Probably one of my favorite harikiris is Ermac's. It's just so gruesome. He gets down on his knees and basically just starts ramming his head into the floor.
I think Kenshi, because it's the classical, you know, samurai harikiri one. And then Nightwolf throwing up the axe, you know, impaled.
Death traps are something that we've always wanted to have in the game ever since the beginnings. The whole idea is that while you're fighting, there's a chance that even if you're losing, you could have just 1 or 2 pixels of life left. You still have a chance to win the match. And so you're trying to maneuver your victim into the danger zone. It adds a lot of extra strategy to the game.
My favorite death trap in Deception was definitely the grinder. When you knocked your opponent in there, there'd be these 2 huge grinders that would pin the victim, and it would be bad enough if the victim just went right through it, but instead the victim is trapped in there and there's this little bit of tension where you feel his bones crushing almost. And then eventually he gets sucked through and blood is projected onto the wall behind him.
My favorite death trap in Deception is the Hell's Foundry Smasher. The character gets kicked into a wall, lands on a hot slab of metal. His skin, his shoes and clothes should be on fire now, but yet he's trying to get back to safety on this hot metal, and wham!
Shujinko wins.
The idea behind the creative fatality system is to really expand the fatality. Instead of just doing a really complicated button combo and sitting back and watching everything happen, we wanted to put more options in the player's hands, let them show creativity by able to string different attacks.
Every time you perform one, you have a little less time to perform the second one. So a really good player is going to get 2 or 3 part fatalities in there. And a great player is going to get like a 7 or 8 part fatality in there, and an amazing player is going to get, you know, a 9 or 10 part fatality in there. So it actually is a gameplay feature. We award currency in the game for it. So it's not only is it a great show, but it's actually a skill that you have to learn.
We spent a lot of time thinking about the death traps in Armageddon. They're much more elaborate than the ones we've seen in Deception.
My favorite stage fatality has got to be the classic falling through a floor and landing on spikes. And in Armageddon, we've updated it in the bell tower arena. We have a 4-pronged spike. When someone lands on it, each limb gets severed. We even have a rat that comes in and grabs one of the arms and num-nums away with it.
It's hard to pick my favorite death trap in Armageddon. There's a lot of good ones.
The subway fatality, because it's a remake in 3D of a fatality that we had in Mortal Kombat 3, and it's a lot more of a cinematic presentation, looks a lot more painful, and you know, people remember it, but they don't remember seeing it how we're presenting it.
Probably my favorite one right now is in the Wastelands.
It's cool. It's a cool visual. A guy getting thrown into the catapult with the burning balls, and all of a sudden, you know, he gets flung. So he's flying through the air on fire. Then he hits the wall, then he slides down. So I like that. It worked out pretty well. I was happy with that.
I think my all-time favorite, as classic as it is, would be the Sub-Zero spine rift, that one.
That's kind of the signature one that everybody thinks of, that's always mentioned. And yeah, it's just kind of like the ultimate fatality for everybody.
My favorite fatality is ripping someone's heart out, and I think that defines what Mortal Kombat's all about.
Probably it would have to be the one of the stage fatalities. I think the collapsing cliffs one, with the detail of struggling with this spike through your stomach. I think that was really great.
When I first played Mortal Kombat in the arcade, I thought like when Scorpion took off his ninja hood and blew his fire at the victim, and to see him like burn up in smoke, I thought that was like the coolest thing I ever saw, and it just was like a pretty good shock when I first saw that, and to this day it sticks with me.
I would have to go with a classic, and I'm gonna say it's Sub-Zero Spine Rip from MK Deadly Alliance. Something about the choreography of the whole thing is a lot more elaborate than the previous spine rips he did.
My all-time favorite fatality is probably with Quan Chi in Mortal Kombat 4, where he tears the opponent's leg off and kind of beats him to death with it.
Probably my least favorite fatalities are the ones that just receive the least polish, so that they don't look as convincing as they should.
My least favorite fatality from Mortal Kombat was in MK3, where he just started launching all these bombs out of his chest. The screen faded and you saw the earth, and the earth explodes, and that's it. That's the fatality. It was one of the quicker ones, I'm sure, that we did, and it was easily my least favorite fatality.
Boy, my least favorite one has got to be Scorpion's animality. Of all animals to change into, Scorpion changes into a penguin and lays an exploding egg.
My least favorite fatality coincidentally also involves Quan Chi, and it is his neck stretch fatality from Deadly Alliance.
Yeah, that one probably could have been given to someone else or been left on the drawing board probably.
It was kind of done in a rush. He jumps up on the victim, grabs him by the head, and just pulls him, and his neck stretches super long. It looks pretty silly.
This guy walking around with the exaggerated neck, it makes me laugh. I know it's silly, but I think it's funny.
I'm not sure. I think we were getting a little low on creativity there.
That thing totally didn't make sense.
It was a funny idea, and we were going to do it, but once we saw it in the game, I personally said, it looks kind of dumb. But we left it in because we were running out of time. You know, sorry about that.
So Quan Chi has my favorite and least favorite fatalities in all of the Mortal Kombat series.
Deadly, killer, bloody, mortal, brutal, evil, vicious, savage, ultimate. Sub-Zero wins. Extreme fatality.